What's up, everybody? We are live. Yes, we are live in this one. Next couple weeks won't be, but we're live tonight. It is another Saturday night. It is another battle in the Cartoon Classic, the wild card round, the final wild card round matchup before we start the first round of 14. We're going to find out tonight who faces Garfield. Garfield's competing. Who faces Heathcliff in the first round. It is going to be Garfield and Friends versus SpongeBob SquarePants, Eric's all-time favorite cartoon. And we already know which way he's going to be leaning because he did everything in his power to make sure SpongeBob didn't make it, but there was too much backlash to where I had to give SpongeBob an opportunity to get back in. But I am, of course, Dutchie, joined as always by MoneyE.
What's up?
Shawn is with us as always.
Hello.
And Dave, the last
Uchiha.
I just refer to him as the wild card because I never know what the heck's going through his head, which actually makes him a perfect part of the show. So we are here now to recap what's going on in the last few weeks. In the wild card round, Rugrats beat Superman the Animated Series. Simpsons beat Recess, although for some reason Eric thought we were doing that episode again tonight as a pre-record.
I hit him with a Genjutsu.
Yeah.
David messed me up.
Yeah, which, it happens. So that's what happens. That's what happens when you're gullible and you deal with people that know you're gullible. But Simpsons beat Recess, and last week saw Super Mario Brothers Super Show pull the upset over Justice League. And when I say upset, I do mean that people were upset over that result. I have people continue to call you guys a word I am not comfortable with saying on air. But my answer to that is I know they are. That's why I have them on my show.
At least you're honest about it.
Yeah. Because, that's why because you guys, fit what I want for panelists on the show. So I defend my people.
Thank you, Doug.
I also gift them books.
Yep. I've been actually enjoying that too. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Thanks, Doug.
No problem. Eric, did you start any of your books today?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm the only one that gave something in return, though, Doug. Just like
yes, you are. Shawn gifted me with wrestling figures. Because he was like, because I was about ready to walk out of his house. He goes, "Dude, you just gave me 2 books. I have to give you something." And it was very sweet.
What figures did you get, if you don't mind me asking, Dutch?
Ultimate Warrior and Ted DiBiase. I think they were part of the Jack's Classic Superstars.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
pretty good. That Ultimate Warrior is in real good condition too.
Yeah, exactly. Like if it were still, because the Jack, even just like in like still in the box, still in the packaging.
Yeah,
a lot of those are worth like $100 to $150.
Yeah, I mean, I just got them at the wrong time. I was like 10.
Yeah, which
it's like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna ladder match these guys.
Yeah. Which, by the way, when you are that age, you're supposed to be.
Yeah, but I remember the boxes were like nice. They were like the Hall of Fame, black and gold.
Yeah, well, so it's actually funny. Back a couple of years ago, I did a lot of buying for like a month, and then I found out I was spending too much money and was told to delete the app off my phone. I was on Whatnot, and Hornswoggle would run auctions on Whatnot, and every month or every 2 weeks when he would run an auction, he would always be auctioning off his Classic Superstars figures.
I remember that little guy.
Yeah.
He was hilarious out there.
So like I participated, like I won something in an auction. Like I said, this was a couple of years ago. It was kind of cool, like just like because I would bid on some of those figures, and just hearing him kind of shout my name, he's like, "Oh, Dutchie's in the lead," and then somebody would outbid me right away because it's jerks. But yeah, like so he was big into selling his classic superstars because he's an action figure guy. So, but all right, so Rugrats defeated Superman the animated series already in a wild card matchup. Rugrats will move on to take on Scooby-Doo, or Scooby-Doo, where are you? Simpsons beat Recess. Simpsons moves on to face X-Men the animated series. Super Mario Brothers Super Show defeated Justice League, and Super Mario Brothers Super Show moves on to face Rocket Power in the next round. So that's going to be Shawn probably thinks that Rocket Power had a better chance against Super Mario than they do against Justice League. So
I think they do.
Well, I would agree. I would agree with that to a point, but when we get to that episode and whenever we do it, we'll talk about that then. All right. So the 7 categories. So it's 7 categories. I got 3 judges here. Obviously, we judge on the categories are theme song, animation quality, originality and creativity, characters, episodes, humor and entertainment value, and legacy. And basically, like I'll give a little spiel about each show in that particular category. They'll tell me which show did that category better. First to 4 wins it. Now, to save a little bit of time, because we are going to be, spoiler alert, the next 2 weeks are pre-recorded. To save a little time, if a matchup ends early, or if this matchup ends early, we're not going to do the other categories that we haven't done. We're just going to call it, and whoever wins wins. Now, if the show ends too early, we might jump into another match, but you guys really haven't. You guys have already been preparing for 3, so it depends on how much I feel like punishing you. Which right now isn't at all. So, all right. Garfield and Friends versus SpongeBob SquarePants. This is probably one of our more anticipated matchups. People at work have been telling me about, have been telling me all week, oh, we can't wait for this. We can't wait for this. Eric better not screw this up. And
just for that. Okay.
Well, but well, these are actual things that people are telling me. I'm not helping anything by saying that you don't like SpongeBob, but that's just
that's the truth.
Yeah. So all right. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna get started. Your first category is theme song, and this is different than any of our other wild card matches thus far, because both of these theme songs have words. And the opening lines, like in Garfield, the opening line is "We're ready to party," and I'm not going to sing anymore because I don't want to get copyrighted. And then in the beginning of SpongeBob, it's "Are you ready, kids?"
Aye, aye, Captain.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then the songs, both very catchy songs. Both have action sequences in there. Garfield basically helps sing his theme song. SpongeBob does not. But they're both very catchy, and SpongeBob having a theme song was very unlike a lot of Nickelodeon cartoons back in the day. But but this is probably one of the. I mean, we did a countdown a few years ago of the top 10 greatest cartoon theme songs, and SpongeBob came in at number 5. on that number 3 on that particular countdown. So it is a very popular song. Garfield, in my opinion, very underrated. I'm dying. Not really. Although it would be kind of funny if I dropped dead during the show.
I don't think so.
Yeah. But I appreciate that, Dave. All right. So, Eric, we're starting with you. I already know the answer, but just humor me.
Garfield.
All right.
Garfield. I just like I honestly do like it better.
Okay. Wild card, go ahead.
For the theme song, I'm gonna have to go with SpongeBob. I mean, I like it better. It's more catchy. I mean, I could sing it to you right now. You know,
No,
like
please don't.
I'm not going to, Eric. But
send Eric a voice message later and do it.
Yeah, I got you. I'll be singing it. I'll serenade you later, Eric.
Yeah.
I cringe every time I hear it.
All right, Shawn.
I would also go with SpongeBob. I think it's a lot easier to remember, and it gets you going when he goes, "Oh,
yeah,
I can't hear you."
So, all right,
I think it just draws you in better.
I can agree with that. Eric doesn't, but I can.
No, I actually think Garfield draws you in better.
Eric, they lost. Well, I mean, they lost this first round anyway. All right. Up next, animation quality. Garfield started in 1988. SpongeBob started in 1999. Now, what's funny is both of these shows, even though Garfield's not necessarily a Nickelodeon show, Garfield aired on Nickelodeon for the longest time. Even past the dates where they were making new episodes. Because Nickelodeon was, Nickelodeon, when they started doing cartoons, they had their 3 that they started out with. Then they started adding more that they had kind of, purchased the rights to, at least for syndication. So, and Garfield was one of them. But you have 1988 animation versus 1999 animation. Personally, I like both styles. I feel like Nickelodeon's animation, I've always said that it was top notch. Garfield's animation, though, is pretty good itself. So, Eric, what say you?
I'm going to actually say SpongeBob.
All right. Elaborate on that a little further, please.
I do think the animation is better, especially like in the water and stuff.
Okay. All right. Shawn?
I'm going with SpongeBob again.
Okay.
Obviously, it was better because of like the newer technology that they had, I guess you could say, like better AI. But not only that, like I think the attention to detail was a lot harder because of how different everything had to be.
Yeah.
Like obviously the buildings weren't like real buildings, but you wouldn't expect that. But they weren't also just brick buildings or houses. There's crab huts, a pineapple, a rock. Squidward lived in one of those tiki things. I don't even know what you call them, but
yeah, like an aquarium ornament.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it was definitely like an aquarium. And then you got Sandy Cheeks
in her bubble.
In the bubble, but she's a squirrel. Like, I think that it took more time for that one to be better.
Right. All right. Now, SpongeBob wins the category, but go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I'm going to be going with SpongeBob on this as well. The animations were more crisp, more defined. It just looked cleaner, smoother.
Okay.
And I mean, they even had water under the water.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. Yeah. I mean, like, yeah. So that
the boat scenes, how crazy fast they would have to drive, and
yeah.
So, all right. So it's already not looking good for Garfield. It's 2-0. So there is a possibility that we are not getting past category number 4. But category number 3 is originality and creativity. Garfield was a comic strip for so many years. They finally turned it into an animated cartoon in 1988. SpongeBob, there weren't a lot of cartoons, nor were there any of a sponge living underwater.
Flipping burgers.
With a squirrel that he tried to romance in the first episode, but it didn't necessarily work out. And we'll get more into characters later. But there was a lot of originality and creativity in SpongeBob, but also like the way you don't see a lot of cats sitting at a dinner table with a fork and a knife eating lasagna,
right?
Or anything for that matter. Or playing video games.
Or talking.
Right, exactly. So both shows were very creative. And they were creative enough to where Garfield lasted 6 seasons. SpongeBob is, I think, are in the middle of like season 13. Because I think it's still going, isn't it?
Yeah, technically.
Yeah.
I don't think, I think there's a few different voices. Because the guy who played Mr. Krabs, I think he died.
Okay. So.
Don't quote me on that.
All right. But yeah, so both shows hit an originality and creativity pretty well. With that being said, Eric, who gets the edge?
Garfield. I just like the characters better.
Especially this isn't the category, Eric. The category is originality and creativity.
Oh. Yeah.
Characters is the next category.
Oh.
So, all right. Wild card?
Yeah, for creativity, I'm going to have to go with Garfield.
Okay. Shawn, it doesn't matter, but go ahead.
I was going with Garfield as well.
All right.
I think they kept it more simple.
Yeah.
Like SpongeBob was kind of like it could go literally any direction.
Yeah.
So could Garfield, but it was more like believable, and obviously you can't really compare both of them to be believable, but
yeah.
Right.
All right. So 2-1 SpongeBob. So that means we're at least getting to category 5. So Garfield's not down and out yet. Next category is characters. SpongeBob, obviously SpongeBob. Then you have Patrick, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, Mr. Krabs' daughter, Plankton, Sandy Cheeks,
Larry the Lobster.
Yep, Larry the Lobster.
My leg guy.
Yeah.
You got SpongeBob's parents too that come in occasionally.
Right.
Yeah. Gary.
Gary, yeah, can't forget Gary.
Yeah. So a lot of characters there, and each character is unique, and it's not just episodes based on Garfield.
Mm-hmm.
Or not Garfield, episodes based on SpongeBob. You have some episodes that are focused on Sandy. You have, and which we'll get to in episodes. Garfield, he's in the title. And yes, Garfield and Friends, but it doesn't really have a lot to do. Like, Garfield is the centerpiece.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Garfield and the dog.
Yeah. I mean, and then you have the Friends who have the segment in the middle of the show, but people care more about Garfield. So he carried the show.
Yep.
So Eric, Who gets the
I
edge?
like the characters better than Garfield, especially Garfield himself.
All right.
And then the other characters in the middle, the friends.
Yeah. John, Odie. You have Nermal. You have Roy the chicken. You have the pig, the sheep. Their names kind of escape me at the moment.
I thought they were all more unique and more have more character to them.
Yeah. And more not on SpongeBob.
SpongeBob was just blocked me.
Yeah. All right, Shawn.
I'm going to go with SpongeBob for the complete opposite reason. I think with as many characters as they introduce, you get to know them almost on the same level as you know the main character.
Right.
And it's like you brought up, like there isn't just episodes focused on SpongeBob. There's more like there's an episode on why Plankton is trying to steal the secret recipe and like everything about him, everything about Pearl and Mr. Krabs. You know, you get to know Sandy. I think you just get to know more characters on, I don't know, a personal level than you do in the limited ones in Garfield.
Right.
Because Garfield still focuses mainly on, Garfield's not in this scene. It's kind of weird, but
yeah,
SpongeBob's not in the scene. It's not, it doesn't really feel different. So,
right. Wild card.
For the characters itself, I'm going to have to go with Garfield.
All right.
I just liked Garfield and like his demeanor, his character. You know, like some days, you know, you could relate to him and how he felt. You know, so SpongeBob, I didn't really care for the characters in there.
You would relate to a cat.
Yeah, well, I do have 5 cats, bro. So I mean, I'm a cat person.
That's not what I meant, but okay.
Yeah.
I was keeping
anyway, family show.
I was keeping it PG. I kept the PG. If they're not that old, they don't get it. So we're good.
Eric, I gotta ask, how much money did you cash app Dave?
None.
I didn't.
Well, I guess Dave just made up for the fact that he had you confused earlier.
No, he's just letting Dave pick a category for one reaction video.
Yeah.
No, that was given to me before this, bud.
Yeah. This is Dave's way of
that I know about.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. So
everything you've seen is in the group.
So we're tied 2-2. So we're at least going the next 2 categories. Next category up is episodes. Both shows had really unique episodes. Like there was an episode where Garfield was addicted to a video game, while John's appendix burst in the other room. Garfield was more focused on playing this video game. Odie called 911. And luckily and when the cops first burst into the room, because Odie was locked in the bedroom with John, cops first burst in the room, they just saw Garfield playing a video game. They're like, oh, everything's fine. Dog comes out and they're like, oh, never mind, everything's not fine. There's the episode where they broke the fourth wall all the time, and Garfield referenced the fact that he was on a television show.
Yep.
And they wanted him to be a part of the Buddy Bears, or they wanted the Buddy Bears to be part of the show. He got rid of the Buddy Bears, but then the producer was trying to cancel his show. An episode where he accused Odie of eating his blueberry pie, even though it was, 2 mice that did it. With SpongeBob, you had the episode where Sandy Cheeks is first introduced, and SpongeBob goes to her house, but her house is made completely of air. There's no water in it, and a sponge really can't be. If a sponge is out of water, it dries up.
Pinky,
huh?
That's the same episode where Patrick's outside of her bubble because SpongeBob's trying to impress her, be fancy, and they're like drinking like this.
Yeah.
And he's like, Pinky.
Yeah. So then, and then there's the other episode, it was just mentioned, Shawn just mentioned it. Plankton's trying to steal the secret recipe, and he tries to steal it by impersonating Sandy, by stealing her skin. And then she's trying to get her skin back, but she's walking around the, Bikini Bottom, naked.
Yeah. My favorite episode of SpongeBob was what is that dude's name? Doodle.
Doodle Bob.
Yep. Doodle
Yeah.
Bob. Yeah.
That episode is when you finally realize that SpongeBob might not be a kid show.
Yeah, but that was my favorite episode. Besides that, I wasn't really a huge fan of SpongeBob.
Hands down, I agree.
Yeah.
There's a couple episodes I enjoyed out of it.
Me, SpongeBob, you Doodle.
Yep. And then what? Merman and
Barnacle Boy.
Barnacle Boy.
I forgot about them.
I enjoyed those episodes too.
Yeah. SpongeBob had a lot of good episodes, but then a lot of what the hell is going on?
Yeah. All right. Eric?
I'm going with Garfield.
Bites.
All right.
I didn't watch a lot of SpongeBob, so I watched more Garfield.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, you didn't watch a lot of SpongeBob because you can't stand it.
I only watched it when we had to.
Yeah. So, all right. Shawn?
I'm going to go with SpongeBob. I think Plankton was probably one of the greatest villains that never got anywhere.
Right.
In show history. He was so dedicated after failing every time. And I don't know. Some of the episodes, like Dave said, the Doodle Bob episode is hilarious to me to this day. And then, the Pinky. So.
When they went to the deep. You remember that?
Yeah, when they go off the cliff and he has to. Yeah, I remember that.
And the giant worms and stuff like that.
The giant worms, what was the episode where they had to do a giant concert for Squidward?
Yeah.
And they turn it into I think they do Sweet Victory?
Maybe.
I can't remember the song. It's a very well-known song that they did.
Yeah, they jammed out on that.
But they killed that episode. Was good.
Yeah.
Theatrics behind it even.
I'm a goofy goober.
Yeah, that.
All right.
Dave? Fun.
For episodes, I'm gonna have to go with SpongeBob.
All right. So SpongeBob is up 3-2. If they take the next category, they win, they advance, and they get to face another fat cat who likes to eat in the next round. This next category is humor and entertainment value. There's a lot of in Garfield. Garfield is very funny. By the way, the guy who voices Garfield, and Dave brought this up earlier. Well, he asked me, and I clarified it because we're going to talk about Real Ghostbusters in an upcoming episode. The guy who voices Peter Venkman in Real Ghostbusters also voiced Garfield.
Yep.
So, and he's actually on a few episodes. Not on a few episodes, on a few other cartoons as well. He was a very well-known cartoon voice.
Okay.
So, Lorenzo Music is his name. But this guy, he's very funny. He's got a lot of humor to him. So he made Garfield the perfect funny character. So
I agree.
There's a lot of humor in just Garfield himself.
Yep.
And you get a lot of entertainment out of the show. Same thing with SpongeBob. But SpongeBob could probably be described as more stupid kid humor until, you realize that, okay, adults can watch this too. So both as far as humor goes, Garfield is more humor. But there's a lot of entertainment value in SpongeBob as well as there is in Garfield. Eric, what say you? Who gets the edge?
But since I didn't watch SpongeBob a lot, it's gonna have to be Garfield.
Eric just refused to watch SpongeBob, so he could pick Garfield for every category.
Yeah.
I can't sit through a SpongeBob episode. I only did it because we had to do an episode.
I understand where you're coming from because, like,
to be honest with you, I do too. There is a lot of cartoons that I cannot. And I'll go back a little bit. Ren and Stimpy. I used to hate Ren and Stimpy when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But now that you understand it, you probably love it, right?
Well,
that was a ratchet show.
Yeah. So we had to do it for a league battle. I believe it was the league that Scooby-Doo had won. So I sat and I watched a few episodes, and I'm like, all right, maybe this is not as bad as I remember it being. Now, it didn't do so well in the battle, didn't even get a wild card spot. It looked like for a little bit that it was going to be the winner of the fan vote to come back, but then SpongeBob ran away with the fan vote. So I understand where Eric is coming from. There's a lot of cartoons, and especially, when we jump into another tournament where there's going to be more cartoons participating, there's going to be some stuff where we have to watch it so we can judge properly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I told Dave that anime is going to be one of the categories that of shows that we're gonna pick from. He can pick some anime to be involved. I'm not an anime guy, but I'm gonna watch it just so I know what I'm talking about, or at least pretend like I know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
All right. So it's completely understandable that Eric will only watch SpongeBob if he's tied to a chair with a gun in his head.
Or I'm at your house.
Like I said. So it is completely understandable. With that being said, Dave, what say you as far as humor and entertainment value? Who gets
humor and entertainment value? I'm gonna have to go with Garfield on this one. I wasn't a big fan of the humor on SpongeBob like that. I mean, there's a few episodes, that I sat through and watched, and it made me laugh. But most of the time, I'm flipping to another channel. I mean, It wasn't that entertaining for me. Garfield was more entertaining to me. I felt like it had a little more my kind of humor.
Okay.
So going with
You
that.
see my shocked face?
I saw you mouthing words to him.
No, I went like this.
Where's the voodoo doll, Eric?
Yeah.
I'm going Garfield too, by the way.
There's a lot of comments I want to say right now, but because I just yelled about the fact that this is a family show, I'm not going to do it. All right.
I just want to let you know my opinion and everything has not been swayed by any person or being that exists.
Well, that's why you're our wild card.
Yeah.
That's why, I defend if somebody comes at you three, even though I will give Eric a hard time for it, if somebody comes at me, saying stuff about you three. If somebody comes at me about you three, I defend you three because this is what I want. Yeah. I want you guys to have these opinions. I want you guys to have your own opinions. And I like the fact that I don't know what's going to come out of your guys' mouths. As far as what your opinion goes. So I will defend I do defend, because there are a couple people out there that are just like, what is wrong with these guys? And I'll be like, nothing that hurts my show. It doesn't hurt the show. It helps the show. And as long as it helps the show, they can say whatever they want. I'm not gonna tell them what to say.
Right.
That's why it's
They're,
called.
they're allowed to
that's why
comment on
this
whatever
network-
they'd like.
That's why this network is called Everything Unscripted, because this is not scripted.
I agree with this. Although I don't think I need to have any more power than what I already do.
Doug, you're the best CEO.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not as hot as Mercedes Monet, but wait, you think I am?
She ain't that special, bro.
Hey, well,
She looks like
I mean, if you had all the people helping her with the makeup and the lighting and all that stuff, I bet you'd be pulling it out, bro.
yeah. You take the makeup away, you got the salamander.
yeah.
So,
All right,
This is
moving
a family
on.
show, so we're not going to talk about
Yeah.
her looks.
Moving on. So we are on the last category, which I did not think it was going to get this far. But
right, you thought it was going to get swept.
yeah, I was expecting a sweep. We didn't get it. I'm okay with it again because I don't.
We were
you
on
guys.
our way to having our shortest show.
Yeah,
But as a kid, I watched a lot of Garfield because my grandparents had that on all the time. Like they had like VHS tapes of Garfield and stuff like that. So like I remember watching Garfield all the time when I was a kid, and they had it on the TV and stuff like that too. So watching it recently brings up good memories.
Exactly.
So, alrighty. Apparently, I think my my Aunt Lisa thought that this show was going to be over by now. But anyway, so all right. So last category is cultural impact and legacy. SpongeBob is going on for 20 years. Is going on a 20-year run.
Still going.
And still going. Garfield had a long run itself, and plus also, Garfield. Not a lot of people really talk about Garfield nowadays, but he's a fat cat who loves lasagna, which actually resonated. Like a lot of people love lasagna.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have named their cats Garfield.
Yep.
That is true.
Yep.
Very true.
Yeah. So, so both shows have had quite the impact and their legacies. Garfield got 2 movies. SpongeBob has had a couple of movies and numerous TV specials still going on to this day.
They even had David Hasselhoff in one of their movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their first one, I think.
Yeah, the Sponge Out of Water, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, he has to get the King Neptune's crown back or something like that.
So, all right. All right, Eric, who gets the edge?
I'm going to surprise people as much as this pains me to say. And it really does pain me to say, but I'm going to put the hate aside and I'm going to say SpongeBob.
All right. I could see the pain in your face. So
He's holding back tears, everyone.
I can see that.
Everyone give Eric a round of applause.
Now, so nobody could see it.
Okay, put your pride to the side.
Yeah.
Put the pride to the
And
side.
I recognize that SpongeBob is very, very popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. I don't get it. We'll never get it, but it is popular.
Because it's never veered away from directing itself strictly to kids at a certain age.
Fair enough. But
It's always going to be an 8-year-old wanting to watch SpongeBob.
It was just never appealing to me.
Yeah. Well, not to everybody, but Garfield if Garfield was still running today, I would think differently of it.
Yeah, I would. If Garfield was still on today, I would take Garfield for sure.
Right.
But
All right, Shawn, where are you going here?
I'm going SpongeBob. I mean, yeah, it's still going. You know, the multiple movies. They made a couple really good video games of it. You know, and you can't hate on something that's lasted up to 20 years, roughly.
All right, so it's actually funny, and I'll say this because I got family watching the show because they're very invested in this. My aunt Lisa thought that the show was over because she just saw the message because I sent it like a few hours ago. She's like, "It's still on?" It's like, well, we're still good. I thought it was going to be a sweep. So I think they're going to be very happy with the result here. But Dave, go ahead and give your vote anyway.
Yeah, for cultural impact and legacy, you got to give it to SpongeBob. I mean, everybody knows SpongeBob. I mean, people wear clothing and stuff with him on it. They got shoes and stuff that have like designs on it that has SpongeBob designs. So, I mean, his impact on the culture and everything is just, yeah.
As many fans as there are, there's a lot of people that are in my corner that do hate it too. So,
yeah, but that's.
I think Garfield's only a select group now because of how long it's not aired or like revamped other than the movies.
Exactly.
Like even the newer movie that came out however many years ago was probably just to bring back the fans that watched it as when they were kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any like Gen Zers know.
I'll watch it.
Any Garfield.
Yeah, like if you're a late, like an 80s or a 90s kid, you would know what Garfield is, but yeah, mainly. So like anything from there on, it's kind of like, what is Garfield? They don't even promote it in stores as much anymore, like stuffed animals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like they just don't. You don't see action figures or toys as much. I don't, you know.
Not in regular stores. In vintage toy stores, yes.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like anywhere else you go, especially obviously Walmart, SpongeBob's going to be in there. So
yeah, exactly.
You know, you don't see as much blankets and towels or like as you do as like a SpongeBob bath towel or a beach towel or like your bed sheets and stuff. It's one of those things that I think Garfield just got lost in time.
Yeah.
And SpongeBob's still relevant.
Right. I mean, but that's the thing. A lot of the shows that we're going to be talking about, and especially when we do another when we move on to the next tournament, there's going to be shows where they haven't been relevant in years.
Why are you touching this? Don't.
But it's not. It's one of your kids getting yelled at, right? Not you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll mute the mic.
Danielle just made a cameo.
Yeah, she's not understand.
But yeah, so there's going to be a lot of shows that we're going to talk about to where like they're not necessarily as relevant, but they still had like quite the impact on people, especially when they were kids. Because Garfield, I think, had that impact, but now, you know, SpongeBob has had an even bigger impact.
Right.
SpongeBob wins at 4-3. It was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
Even if I had said Garfield, it wouldn't matter because these two said SpongeBob anyway.
Yeah. Well, and again, cultural impact and legacy, especially when you have, if it gets this far, usually the cartoon that is more well-known is going to win.
Yep.
Yeah.
It happens that way.
Exactly.
So, like, all right.
Besides The Simpsons and Recess.
Yeah, like that's the perfect example. Although, like with Super Mario and Justice League,
Yeah.
I thought for sure Justice League was gonna, because it's the Justice League. It's superheroes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to go that way too, Doug.
I mean, Batman got hit in the head with a plunger, and it knocked him out. Metaphorically. So SpongeBob wins it. SpongeBob gets Heathcliff in the next round. SpongeBob is the low. So here's actually how this is going to go. If SpongeBob beats Heathcliff in the round of 14, SpongeBob has to face Batman the Animated Series in the quarterfinals. Because Batman the Animated Series was seeded at number 1. Technically, SpongeBob is seeded at number 14. So it's the lowest remaining seed.
Yep.
Oh.
So SpongeBob and Batman could be coming up on a collision course.
We should have did a March Madness bracket.
I thought somebody asked me, they're like, "Are you going to do one?" And I'm like, and I'm like, I don't
They
know.
handed it out and have everybody try to predict what happens, and then we give out a prize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For whoever gets the most points.
Do that next year. Set something up for that for the next
tournament. We should do that.
next
That
term.
way we can give out a prize and get more viewers.
You know what? That's a good idea.
I'll Venmo you anything you need to make it worth the while.
Okay. All right.
We'll
Yeah. So we'll
promote that for the rest of the channel, or for the rest of this tournament, for the start of the next tournament.
Yeah.
I like that. So, for the people out there that do not think that my co-hosts add anything to the show, you are being proven wrong.
Got you.
Because look at what my guys are doing.
Me and Shawn can work on the bracket, right, Shawn?
Yeah, I can draw
Well,
something.
so the next tournament, I can actually tell you that the next tournament is going to be more like the TNA Bound for Glory series from back in the day.
Okay.
So it's
we
not.
can all do it together on a Discord chat.
So what it's basically going to be is like every show is going to face each other at least once,
Okay.
and then points are going to be given out. So like you're going to get like so many points for a win. You're gonna, if you get swept in a matchup, you're gonna lose points.
Okay.
And then what we're gonna do is we'll even do like special matches, like they've done before, to where like we'll pick like 4 cartoons to go at one another with like a prize of like 20 points or something like that, going to the winner. And then the final 6, the 6 top point getters are then going to face each other in the big final. So
I like that.
it's not necessarily a tournament. It is a tournament, but it's also more of a, it's more of like a series. So everybody's going to have a chance to go at each other at least once. But we could still predict like win-loss records or something like that.
Okay.
So we can still do like a bracket type thing, or not necessarily a bracket, but like be like, all right, well, which 6 do you think are going to make it to the final or whatever?
Okay. Yeah.
Works
Give
for
out
me.
the prize.
It's kind of like teams going through a season. They got a bunch of games they got to play, and whoever got the best record is going in, basically.
Yep.
Like he just said. That's why I got the best team in the business.
Oh, thanks, Doug.
No problem.
Appreciate the love.
We have the best E CEO.
Aw.
Suck at it.
CEO.
I'm not doing her dance, but
I
It's not hard.
think you could pull off the Trump dance.
well, anyway. All right. Garfield wins it. So the next episode, the episode that's going to air next week is The Real Ghostbusters versus Pokemon.
Yep.
This is another. This is going to be a tough one for me because Real Ghostbusters is one of my favorite cartoons.
And Pokemon is one of my favorites.
And Pokemon
Yeah.
is not necessarily. I mean, I used to watch it, but I'm not a big Pokemon guy. But I'm not judging. They are. And I'm going to say, like, it does not matter to me who's going to win. I've got no horse in the race. Yes, there are cartoons I'm fans of, but I'm letting these guys just take the reins, and whatever they decide, and I'm going to back them up no matter what. Even if I want
This one I actually like both shows. So
yeah. Even if there are sometimes I want to smack them, but I'm still gonna back them up. So, all right. So make sure check us out, like, subscribe, hit the bell. Give us your opinion. Do you think SpongeBob should have beat Garfield here tonight? Do you think Garfield should have won? Make sure to check out Shawn on Twitch at TCAX Reaper, Twitch and YouTube. Dave is at his Twitch is TCAX Godsent 95. Check out the Unscripted Sports Show. Check out, of course, the Wrestling Through the Years. We are going to finish up our review of WrestleMania 40 this upcoming Friday. Check out the Stabcast with Daniel and Mindy. And check us out next week.
Join our Discord.
Join our Discord
yeah.
as well. And we'll see everybody next week. You guys, I'll see you in about 5 minutes once we all get into the next studio we have to get into.
Yep.
But thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see everybody next week.
Have a good one.
Later.
Later.
Later.